Oh, I still can't get over that intro. How good. And we're on episode 9 of Educate Ebony, the metal edition. And last week I spoke to Chris Marek from Marek Media. Great guy. Great chat. I think I learned a lot about black metal, but also Viking metal. Oh my goodness. Way better than pirate metal. I said what I said. Twilight of the Gods by Bathory was the album he said to listen to. And so I did, of course. In the dark with a candle, like we spoke about. And it's just an awesome album. I really, really liked it. It just feels larger than life, you know? With the wind and the oars paddling through water, I think those sound editions just transported you to somewhere else. Even though I was just in my room in the dark, I feel like I could have been anywhere. I really liked Blood and Iron. I think the intro was amazing and I love the riff. But actually all the intros on every single song were very descriptive, and it's like he just gave himself enough time to actually put together detailed tracks. I mean, the intro song, Twilight of the Gods, is 11 minutes. So, you know, there's plenty of room for exploration and there's plenty of time for you to get into the song and be taken on the journey. I think that, you know, all the 2, 3, 4 minute songs of our day and age, sure, they're great, but I think they contribute to, I guess, our attention span, you know? Because I noticed it myself. I was listening to maybe Blood and Iron, which is 10.5 minutes long, and I'd find myself starting to zone out and be like, oh, what is the time? When is this song over? And I'm like, hang on a minute. I don't think I do want this song to be over. I'm really enjoying it, but why do I feel like it's time for the next song? So I think it's an exercise in not just self-restraint, but an exercise in patience and how to stay present for longer than 3 minutes. So I really liked it. And of course, the songs, they don't make you want to tune out. They make you want to listen more because it evolves. And his vocals, he does a lot with his voice. He speaks, he sings, he thunders almost. And all the sounds that he adds in, it is very Nordic and very, very Viking-like. It's really cool. If you haven't listened to Bathory, especially this album, Twilight of the Gods, it's a must. And now I just really want a Batlord t-shirt. But let's move on to this episode. Episode 9. Okay, I'd love to introduce Jake Taylor. He's the powerful frontman of In Heart's Wake, a spokesperson for the environment through his music, and he's pretty much made crowd surfing in a blow-up boat a total thing. So welcome to the podcast, Jake. It's so lovely to have you.
Thank you, Ebony. It's nice to be here. Thank you for that wonderful intro.
Do you still crowd surf in the blow-up boat occasionally?
The answer is no.
Oh.
Did it for many years in the same boat because we found out that plastic inflatables are actually really shit for the environment. Unlucky for us, someone pointed it out to us and we were like, oh, you're totally right. Okay, so we're going to use what we have, and when it's done, it's done. And we repatched that boat. Kyle must have done it, I would say, over 50 times because it went on Warped Tour, and Warped Tour just got annihilated with the heat. And then going in the trailer every night and the people and the parking lots and whatever. So it went around the world, I think 20 different countries, and we have retired Patchy is the answer.
Patchy, decent. Whose garage does he live in?
I think he's in Ben's basement, actually, our guitarist. Yeah, he'd be pretty sad, rolled up into something small so he could fly him back.
That's cute. Well, let's hear it. What is the one metal album you think I need to listen to?
I think you need to listen to Limp Bizkit's Significant Other. Do you know it? That's the question.
I do not know it, no. Significant Other by Limp Bizkit. Yeah, I feel like I missed out on the big Limp Bizkit phase, to be honest. I don't know where I was, but I wasn't there.
Okay. Well, it was big when it came out. It was big. I think it was big because it crossed multiple realms. It went to the pop world as well as the hip-hop world. It wasn't just... it's a metal band being played on MTV, Headbangers Ball. It was we're on Video Hits, we're on Rage, we're on MTV, we're everywhere.
How did it cross so many genres if they're a metal band?
Well, you'd call them a new metal band.
Okay. Oh, okay.
You know, but the thing is they played Woodstock, in 99 at Woodstock, as well as playing, whether it's Download Festival, which is a big metal festival. They can cross kind of different terrains, and they have a lot of hip hop influences. But in the pop world, they'd be considered, a metal band, probably.
Oh, right. Okay, so it's not really like a metal band. They're not really a pop band, which is, I guess, what new metal is.
Yeah, it's kind of like they just crossed into pop culture, I think. And I mean, this album, I actually have, like, this is the cassette that I bought when I was 9 years old. I still have it.
Yeah, nice.
It was literally one of the, I think it was the first heavy, band cassette that I ever bought. And so that shows me, like, being into soccer, like I was into soccer, aka football, at the time. And, obviously what was on video hits and stuff I'm always aware of. And if this was entering my world at 9 years old, then it was, big at the time for me to find out about it when it wasn't one of my parents that passed it to me. So yeah, I had it. I listened to it plenty, and I just like sort of refreshed my memory before this as well to like just like see, and it still holds up. Honestly, it still holds up today, I reckon.
Yeah. Did you play it on the tape? Do you have a tape player?
I don't have a tape player.
Oh.
We have one. We do have one in the house, and actually in the studio. But no, I did the absolute lazy thing and just played it off Spotify on my phone while I made breakfast.
So it's a breakfast album.
It could be. It could also be after dinner. It could be at any time of the day. Really.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the album. What exactly about it really stands out to you, or it did when you were 9 and still to this day? Well, it's super creative, really catchy, and it's bold. Makes a lot of bold choices. I believe it's the stepping into the hip hop world that really like that was my bridge towards the new metal, was like from the hip hop world, because I was into a lot of hip hop at the time, and like it's got Method Man from Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man. No, but I know Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, so he's on a, like they've got him featuring on a track, as well as Jonathan Davis from Korn. Have you heard of Korn?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, so like they were bringing, if you've got a record and you've got like hip hop's biggest band guest focus on your record, and you've got new metal's biggest vocalist guy from Korn, you kind of like already like straddling different worlds. So it was the creativity, it was the catchiness, and it was the like it had a lot of attitude. And I really, at 9 years old, I kind of picked up on that.
Yeah. How many albums had they released before this one, or was this like their breakout album?
I think they released one album before this. So you call it breakout, but I actually checked what it charted here in Australia. It was number 5 on the charts, which is still like a big result, but it wasn't like it was a number 1 huge album. It was big in the US though. Let's have a look. Just discography to tell you it was the second or third. Looks like it was the second. $3 Bill was the first one. So yeah, it was the second album. And they followed up with another album 1 year later, which is pretty nuts.
Oh, wow. That's actually so fast.
Yeah, it's really fast. And they just really rolled it over. So Fred Durst, he's the lead singer. He's a very controversial kind of a guy. Always like in the spotlight for sort of the wrong reasons as well as some of the right ones. But he was really good at playing that game. And I think he had a romantic fling or an affair with Britney Spears. That was pretty big in the media.
What?
So he was, again, crossing different worlds and, ending up in the pop spotlight as well.
That's pretty big for a band's second album, to have like huge guests, to be making huge charts and the news and everything. I don't know, like how do you even do that? It wasn't exactly like we had the internet as a huge source back then. Yeah, I guess it shows how infectious like their songs were. And that obviously generated a huge team behind them to put them on the right tours and on radio. And like if you've got fire, so to speak, wildfire will spread if it is bold, catchy, and gets people's attention. And it really did, clearly. It was provocative. I think that's a big part of it, was provocative. Like Rage Against the Machine were really, for another band, they were like all about calling things out, not being afraid to like stick it to the man in that sense. Very political base, whereas this was much more provocative attitude, saying sort of things that were more of the MA to R-rated stuff, which you would normally be allowed to say, whether it's the F word or it's like saying really inappropriate stuff. The rap world was kind of getting away with, but not really in the new metal world. Yeah. And here you were at 9 just being like, oh, am I allowed to listen to this? Even says this sticker on the front. It's featuring number 1 single, Nookie. And I didn't know what Nookie meant or was referring to at the time. So there I am like singing along to this, I did it all for the Nookie, like at 9 years old, I had no idea. And I actually remember, I think it was just last year, like I brought up the track, talking to my mum about it. And she's like, oh yeah, I remember that song. I used to love it. And then she looked at me like, you know what it means, right? And I said to her, and she's like, what? Like then she clicked about what Nookie was referring to, which is very inappropriate. Then she was like, oh my God, how was I letting you listen to that at 9 years old? Like, and she was jamming along to it as well, thinking it was just innocent,
Yeah, apparently Fred claimed that he saw the word on the front cover of a porno magazine and was like going through how he was, his basically ex-girlfriend was, and the line, "I did it all for the nookie," and then the rough demo title was "Nookie," and ended up sticking as the actual title. They got away with it.
Wow. Those times, people wouldn't let that fly now, would they? Or would they? Don't know. Everyone's a lot more open.
It's hard to say. It depends on the context. I think the context, you've got to be, a little bit more. You got to be a little bit more
conscious.
It's conscious and respectful as well. Like you can't, unless you're just going for that fully provocative thing, which I guess they probably would still try to do that kind of stuff. I don't know what it would be in this day and age. But we are also a lot more open with our languaging in terms of being able to swear and like say things. I mean, go look at Cardi B stuff. Like, she's super provocative. Very powerful woman doing things in a different way. And in some ways, it's like in the pop world, she's doing to that what Limp Bizkit were doing to the metal world at the time.
Yeah, just bringing in fresh perspectives. That's interesting. I feel like, especially as a band that, I don't know, straddles 2 or 3 different worlds and that have fans everywhere, with their future stuff, how would they keep everyone happy? Or that's just not what they'd think about.
Yeah, I think it was the opposite. It was kind of like, we're about pushing the edges of what this is. If we don't keep pushing those edges of what this is, then the fans won't like it, so to speak. So they kind of established that from the get-go. That was their thing. They didn't have one thing. When metal band, it's like, no, we've got hip-hop from moment one. And that creativity was celebrated.
Oh, my goodness. Does that mean that Nookie is still your favourite song on the album, or you have other faves later down the line?
Well, just because it was a big track when I was 9 years old, it's hard for me to say that, it's not. But it's definitely matched by, I would say 2 other songs. Break Stuff, which is huge. That's the song that they got arrested for at Woodstock when they played it. And apparently the sea of humans were tearing off the plywood off the sides of fences and just going nuts. And so they got arrested for inciting violence, so to speak. Yeah. So, but it's just one of those days. That's the opening line of Break Stuff, the track. And so whenever anyone says, how you doing? And they go, it's just one of those days. It always triggers that song in my head. The song starts playing, and it's very clever lyric writing because it's just it's the start of a bigger story, and you go into it. So that would be my other track. And then that's the Method Man and Together Now, which is just a breath of fresh air on the record, hearing hip hop, kind of be a bit gritty and it's from Brooklyn, New York as well. It's got that graffiti and street kind of a vibe that Biggie and Wu-Tang and stuff are bringing out.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I feel like when you're young and listen to an album, it's your entire world for a however long. And then, you grow up and you sort of forget about it, or then you come back to it. When did you actually realize that this is a big band and this is a big album?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, at the time I thought it was big, but I didn't realize it was in the metal world. I think probably in my much later teens, realizing how much of an influential album it was. I think I always thought they were a big band because they were on MTV and stuff. But yeah, seeing how much it affected the new metal scene and paved the way for a lot, because they were getting written off as a Korn copy band. And then they came out with this record with the Korn singer on it to kind of be haha, we're so different than Korn, but also he's the Korn dude,
Yeah.
So they it's went like this and then just forked off and went on their own route, and it really influenced a lot of bands. So influential for sure. And I think it was, my later teens that I really realized that.
Yeah. And is that when you were getting into bands and making music as well?
No, I was honestly 13, 14 making my music, with In Heart's Wake members. Yeah, we were that old. First show I was in the crowd going nuts would have been 13, I think, watching Terror play at the Byron Youth Centre. But I'd seen Black Flag and the Hard-Ons when I was 11. Before that, on side stage to see the energy of a crazy crowd. So that really started off my journey to music. But I came through hardcore rather than through new metal and metal when it came to actually being at concerts. And then I kind of, coming full circle, I realized this was this Limp Bizkit album was planting the seeds for heavier music, distorted guitars and breakdown. Yeah.
Oh, it's so unfair that you got to go to gigs when you were 11. That just wasn't even in my peripheral vision anywhere at 11. That's amazing. Byron Bay must have been huge for that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, it was huge. Totally. Luckily, we were in a time when people weren't being like, lawsuits weren't being like given out left, right, and center. It was much more relaxed and laid back in terms of those things. So therefore, youth centers would like happily hand over the keys to someone wanting to rent it for the night to have a gig without public liability, and without security guards, because no one's going to get sued. And they'd have to have like, four exit doors for, the capacity of people as a fire escape thing, the security cameras and all these different like government things, which are there for safety. But what they do is they kind of constrict and suffocate the underground from actually existing. So it was in an age when those things could take place. And that's why Byron Bay had this energy that it did for Byron Bay hardcore to like thrive in a youth center. And then that Perth Parkway Drive, which then magnetized bigger bands to pull through and be part of the chaos.
Definitely. I don't think I realized how influential Byron Bay actually was in all this stuff before. Like I just, it's just a hippie beach town and it's lovely and, raw food and everything. But yeah, it didn't occur to me until like, you hear about it. So
yeah, it was big.
That's cool.
It was big. It was cool. It was cool. It was good. All the kids had a place to put their energy, in a constructive like way rather than like drugs and vandalizing other things. Like, at least in my perspective, it was the opposite. We were like there, like mosh, what do we call it? Mosh, fight dancing, whatever they call it. Yeah, going nuts.
Oh, that's so cool. Did you ever get a chance to see Limp Bizkit live?
I haven't, not yet. They've played a few festivals we've played, but opposite years or like different days. So it'll happen when it's meant to happen. And if it's not, that's okay too. But here's to Limp Bizkit, significant other, and Nookie.
Yeah. Especially with this album, is there an aspect that you really love or that you reckon maybe others overlook or we don't hear? Because, for example, I've never listened to the album. What should I be looking out for?
Creativity, bold choices. I think people play it too safe nowadays. I reckon they were really nurturing their inner desire to like push boundaries. And I think that's a really healthy place for art. Oftentimes artists will, they are thinking of the fans, but they're also thinking about, in doing that, they're just wanting to make it successful, sell X amount of copies, or like the numbers game. So like, what's the formula? What's the quickest way to that, rather than going about it in a different way? And I feel like on this, they really pushed that. So listen for creativity. And even in the artwork, like it's got like a, it's like a street graph kind of style with like this guy in baggiest pants wearing those classic Adidas, shoes that were really huge in the breakdance community. I remember those shoes being massive when I was doing breakdancing. And he's wearing a New York Yankees like red hat, which is Fred Durst's signature thing. So it was always kind of a bold for a new metal cover. It's very hip hop.
Yeah, it is. It does not look metal at all. I mean, there's blue in there. Where's the black?
That's right. It's totally not that.
What an interesting album. And what are my listening notes? How should I listen to this album?
The intro is great. Like, it's weird. It's good. They give you constant like palate cleansers and refreshers rather than just relentlessness. So just start at the top and get to the end. And it's good to just have on while you're doing stuff. You don't have to like sit there and like fully pay attention. And you'll hear the hip hop really come through. And you'll probably be humming some of the choruses afterwards. So it's dangerous. Careful.
It's dangerous. All right. Well, I might just chuck it on. Go about my day. Make some breakfast. Eggs always. Eggs are the best breakfast, just saying. Everyone needs to know that. 100%.
How are you doing your eggs?
Poached, definitely.
Nice. Well, you got extra time then cooking your eggs. You probably could get through that chunk of the album by the time you're finished.
Is it a short one?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you the exact runtime without going to, you know what, let's do it. I'm going to do it right now. But like poaching eggs, by the time you pop your toast, poach your eggs, do your bread, eat clean, like you're going to be getting through it. Let's have a look. Does it have minutes? No, it doesn't. That's a Spotify question. I think it is. Spotify.
Letting us down. I thought they had everything.
They will. I was on Wikipedia. Let's have a look.
Oh, Wikipedia. They know everything.
Wow. All right. So it's longer than I thought. It actually goes for an hour.
Oh, really?
That's a long breakfast.
That sounds beautiful.
So
it's like a Sunday morning thing.
Yeah, enjoy that. Yeah, it's got Method Man. But yeah, tracks to look out for is Nookie, Break Stuff, and Together Now. But the intros, outros, and interludes are really entertaining.
Awesome. Is it their interludes are like instrumental?
No, they've got like, which one is it? They do like when I say I mean, sometimes they're tacked on to the ends of tracks, and they're just, it's like in a lot of hip hop and rap albums that like have, whether it be a phone call or something comedic happens, you'll pick up on it as it's happening. It's got a good flow to it.
Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Well, there we have it. The one metal album that Jake Taylor from In Heart's Wake thinks that you and I should listen to is Significant Other by Limp Bizkit. Jake, thank you so much for your wisdom. I can't wait to listen to it from your point of view.
Pleasure. 9-year-old me's waving his cassette, being stoked that you're going to listen to it. Quick fact, they sold 16 million copies of it worldwide, which is, I mean, unheard of nowadays, but that's how big it became. It's pretty mental.